Hi, everybody. Welcome to today's edition of the CrossFit Games Update Show. I'm Sean Woodland with Tommy Marquez and Dan Bailey talking about 16.4. And I know you did a great job. I had the pleasure of judging you, improved your score the second time around. How did it go for you?
Went well. First time around was a little rough, not going to lie, but I did a little retest, got a couple reps better, and there was something in that workout, I think, for everybody.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and it didn't matter who you were. There was one, maybe even two movements each time that you could kind of circle as like, all right, this is the crux of that workout for me.
Yeah, I loved everything except the end of that one. You know,
Same.
Right. Big guy gymnastics is not something I excel at. Dan, you're a guy who's won the Open. You've won regionals, competed at the games. Where is your focus right now?
Focus is always on the games. It's always on, well, maybe the step before that, regionals and making it to the games. That's the big show. That's the one everybody wants to win. That's the one when you're going for all year. So the Open is important, and it's a lot of fun for the community to celebrate together. But focus is always on the games, yeah.
We have 4 down and now just 1 to go. And for the second time in the 2016 Reebok CrossFit Games Open, Josh Bridges gets the event win. He gets 330 reps, beats Rich Froning by 15. Noah Olson gets his second best finish of the Open. He finishes in 6th place. He was second in 16.1, and we caught up with Josh Bridges after he won his second event of the Open.
The strategy, typically, as always, I try not to have too much of a strategy, but this week I did. I had a little bit. I basically wanted to finish the first round in complete round in like 8:30ish, and I figured if I finished in 8:30 that first round, then I'd have a chance at touching the rower.
Josh Bridges has always been a phenomenal competitor. We know what he's capable of, but it seems that this season we have Josh Bridges plus.
Yeah, like I've mentioned before on the update show, he's fired up this year after last year's regional mishap. He's one of those athletes who's unique where at every stage of this process, he is a threat to win every time. So, yeah, and he's fired up this year for sure.
And not to mention he's a civilian now, so he's got more time to train. He's got some of the lifestyle factors that support the training volume that it takes to get to the games. Right. And like you said, he can win at any stage. This is his second time winning 2 events in the Open, and it actually puts him tied for first all time with Sam Briggs with 7 Open wins worldwide. So if you talk about the home run potential, but now more time to train, maybe shore up some of those weaknesses, if he gets to the games, he's a top 10 threat for sure.
He has won 2 events, but despite that, Josh Bridges finds himself in 2nd place on the overall leaderboard. The top spot belongs to Noah Olson. He's 3 points up on Bridges. Kyle Frankenfeld continues to look great. He sits in 3rd place. Rich Froning is in 5th. Patrick Vellner, another guy that we haven't talked a whole lot about out of Canada East, he's there in 6th. And then Matt Fraser is in 9th place. So 9 points separate first from 3rd. We have 1 workout left. Who else might be able to get himself into that battle for the top spot?
Well, for me, it's Rich Froning. He's a guy that if you look at, he actually has an opportunity to kind of get a head start on everyone by doing this workout Thursday, being one of the first people to kind of test it. He's still about 30 or so points back from the top spot in Noah Olson, and Noah would really have to double both of the points he has now just for Rich to have a shot. But something comes down the pipe, maybe Noah stumbles, Rich can obviously hang with the best of them, possibly win an event, and that's just enough maybe to get him in the shot.
Right, Rich is definitely the only guy who's outside of those top 3 that I could see potentially winning from the other group of people. Some things to consider, is the workout for reps or is it for time? That can change up a lot of different things in terms of the competition where 1 second can separate 80 places and all of a sudden you've gathered all these points by dropping the barbell once or some very small piece of the workout like that.
We spent a lot of time talking about Josh Bridges. We've mentioned Noah Olson quite a bit too, but who are some names on this leaderboard that we haven't talked a whole lot about that you want to get to today?
Well, for me, it's a guy, Roy Gamboa. He's a multi-year games athlete, but normally because our update show leaderboard usually only goes 10, 12 deep, you don't always see him at the top of the leaderboard, but he's definitely up there. Here's a guy who won the South region last year after missing the games in 2014. He goes on, takes 22nd at the games. He had a couple mishap events, a few stumbles, but really, if he comes back, works on some of the classic CrossFit type stuff, which we see in the Open, and he's doing this well right now, possibly could have his best Open finish ever. He's a guy who could be a sleeper pick for maybe hanging around the top 15, top 10.
Dan, how about you?
The guy that I look at is Alex Vigneault. He finished that chipper last year at the regionals, which he was one of very few people to do that. I competed against him at the Invitational and was beyond impressed with his performance there. He's also a very good lifter. We know how big those lifts come into play as the season progresses, and he's very humble. When I look at those things that combine him as an athlete or that make him up as an athlete, it impresses me with just his performance and what I think his potential is.
Well, not only do we have a race for the top spot, but we have a lot of athletes who are trying to get themselves into regionals. With 1 week to go, we can officially start the bubble watch, and Tommy's going to have a lot more on this on Thursday on Inside the Leaderboard. But there are some big names who are fighting for a regional spot heading into the final week. Jeff Evans in the Southeast, Alex Nettie, and then a pair of guys who have won a title on the team, Tommy Hackenbrook and Brendan Fjord, who's now in Latin America. So all those guys trying to work their way into regionals as an individual. What are you guys going to be watching now other than that bubble watch? And again, you'll have more on that Thursday, but what are you watching here this final week?
For me, it's a pair of Masters athletes who happen to be brothers.
Yeah.
The Grundler brothers, to be specific. Bill Grundler, who works with us quite a bit here on the media side, and his younger brother, James Grundler, who last year was a Games athlete in the 40 to 44 division. He's aged up now, and he's doing pretty well. 1 and 2 so far in that age division. It could be a whole lot of firsts if they hold on to it and be the first, siblings to finish 1-2 in the Open and set themselves up nicely to possibly competing side by side on the CrossFit Games floor come July.
What are you keeping your eye on?
I'm keeping my eye on this week 16.5.
You'll be there, right?
I'll be there,
yeah.
so I get to watch the Throwdown live. They're 3 good friends of mine, and they're just incredible athletes, and I'm excited to see them go head-to-head. 3 very competitive people as well, so I think we're going to get an awesome show.
We don't know the workout, obviously, but given what we know about these 3 athletes, who do you like going into this thing?
It's tough for me because if you look at these athletes, they're all very similar. They're all great lifters. They've got great skills. They've got kind of the total package, which is why they're so high on the Games leaderboard consistently. For me, in this atmosphere, the crazy switch comes into play again. I mentioned it with Sarah. I think Matt Fraser has that a little bit more.
Okay.
I think last year, talking about 15.5, when you just kind of had to just take the restrictor plate off the old Red Dragon to give it a little extra juice. That's what he did, and I think he can do it again.
I am so torn. I mean, obviously, the 3 of the guys are my buddies. Right now, I'm going to go ahead with Ben Smith because he is.
So I'm just going to go. No one picked Rich Froning here.
He is the champ this year, so I'm going to roll with him. Obviously, it's hard to not pick Rich. He's still at the top of his game. He's on a team this year, though.
Yeah.
So, Ben is the current champ. I'm going to roll with that.
All right, well, I'll go with Rich Froning.
Okay.
I'll really go out on a limb there. Hey, this is only going to happen at the ranch on Thursday night, 16.5, announced live, games.crossfit.com. Ben Smith, Rich Froning, Matt Fraser. The only time this year this matchup is going to go down, and you can watch it all live on games.crossfit.com. Don't forget about the Cool Down Show. If you want to get your questions in for that, tweet at CrossFit Games, #CoolDown Show. You can be part of that. It is going to be a blast to watch. That's going to do it for us. For Dan Bailey and Tommy Marquez, I'm Sean Woodland, and we leave you with a look at one of our favorite adaptive athletes, Zach Rule, getting after 16.4.